How many times have you approached a new skill thinking it would be a breeze only to find yourself stumbling in the process? I can tell you that has happened so many times. Let me share with you the first day I was at Walmart. I got there, it was after 3 months of remodel. They liked me so much that they hired me on. Woohoo, go me. Showed up the first day, walked in the back, slid that card down, looked around, and had no clue where to go. It was 4 in the morning. Not many employees were there. And I had no clue where I was supposed to be because I was in the fresh department, and that's so many different spots in Walmart. And I didn't know where I could find my boss. One thing I learned during orientation was that I needed to do some trainings. So I walked over to the computer room, sat down, and started trainings. Luckily enough, 15 minutes later, my boss came in, introduced himself. We walked over to the produce department, which was where I was working at, and he started to fire hose information into me. Any of you who have ever had a job, who have tried to start a business or tried to start a new skill, you know that when you first start, it is a fire hose of information. And especially at like a 9 to 5, where they are trying to train you as quick as they can so that you can get on the floor and do what you need to do. The first day, I remember going to my car after trying to do everything they wanted me to do, sitting there thinking, I don't know if I can do this. Which is funny because I was of that mentality that I'm sure a lot of people are of Walmart is an easy place to work at. It's that place that you go if you can't get another job. Well, I'll tell you this, that was one of the hardest things to do. And it was simply because I didn't know what I didn't know. And as I continued down the next couple months, I started to realize how much there was to learn, which then brought me to being able to apply it and get more skill, which then led me to being able to do it unconsciously, being able to do it without thinking about it and adding more skills and benefits onto that. And I want to talk to you today about that. There's this principle called the 4 levels or the 4 levels of hierarchy with competence. We have unconscious competence, unconscious incompetence, then we have conscious incompetence, conscious competence, and then unconscious incompetence. And saying those just triggered my dyslexia hardcore. I'll tell you that. To give you a definition, unconscious means unaware, conscious means aware, incompetence means the ability to not do it, competence means you can do it. Right? So when we start off with level 1, just starting to do things, unconscious incompetence, it is being unaware and not being able to do it. Right? We're breaking it down, we're having it make sense. When you're on that level, that's when you're just starting something new. That's where you don't know what you don't know. Think about when you try a new sport. There's this really famous game out there that I only tried about, I think, a couple months ago with my cousins. It's called handball, I believe. It's where you have that yellow ball about yay size, and there's the circle mini trampoline, and it's you and your partner versus 2 other people. And basically, it's volleyball, but with a tramp and a smaller ball. And I'll tell you what, I jumped in that and I sucked. I failed so bad. They were setting me up, which I had no clue what the term was back then, setting me up, and I would just like whack it and it would hit the ground. Or I think I was so good, so meta, I would slam it down and it would fly off in a direction that didn't hit the tramp at all. Lose the point. But I didn't know what I didn't know. And a lot of us who are starting a new business, starting a new endeavor, starting a new skill, getting into health, learning how to communicate, being able to start a new job, a new 9 to 5. We get to that point where we just don't know what we don't know. And I'm telling you now, that is okay. Because we need to first start off with our first step in order to get our 50th one. But we want to keep going after that first step. So as we're getting fire hosed with all the information, that goes to level 2, which is Conscious incompetence. This is where we are aware of what we need. We recognize the lack of skill that we have or knowledge, and that there is so much more out there that we need to learn. Think about playing a musical instrument. When you're starting and you're learning the chords, you realize there's so much more. There's how long do you hold it? There's the different notes. There's the treble and bass. I believe that's what I'm thinking of, a piano right now. There's the different types of music, how to sync it with other instruments. There's a vast majority of what you can go into simply by starting an instrument. And a lot of the times, not just with an instrument, but with everything else, we get into that realm of losing confidence in the idea, where we get into that peak of having to hit the rubber to the road and go, but losing, again, that confidence and that desire and that passion, that ignition of fire that we had inside, because we realize we don't know everything. And at the time, we feel like we don't know anything. But we keep pushing on. And I think that's why businesses after 5 years, I think it's 90 or 95% of the statistic fail in their business. I think a lot of that has to do with when they put the rubber to the road, there's so much information to get in that you really got to have a strong desire and a strong belief to get there. So after you push past that barrier, then you jump into the third level, which is conscious competence. You are aware and you are able to do. On this third level, this is where we have the skills, but we need to concentrate. I know that as I have leveled up my speaking, that when I first started to learn everything, started getting comfortable with it, I had to use a lot of brain power to consciously think of what I need to do. When I get into a room, I'd consciously think that my back needs to be straight, that my chest is out, that I'm using hand movements, that my tone in my voice is fast when I need to say things that are fast, and slow and bring it down to when you need to create something more impactful. And these are things that I continued to learn, but I had to use conscious energy to do it. After you get more experience and after you go from being that novice into trying to be the expert and the master, then you get to the fourth level, which the fourth level is the unconscious competence, where you are able to do what you need to do, but it's second nature. You perform it effortlessly. And this is the level where people like Grant Cardone and Alex Hormozy and Jay Shetty and Tony Robbins, when they talk about finding a niche, staying in that, and then after you become an expert in it and you get an audience and you're making a little money for whatever business that you have, then you can start branching out. That's the principle right there, is you learn the master in that thing, and then you start to learn more things on top of that. One of my favorite animes, I know I'm jumping into the anime realm for a second, it's called My Hero Academia, where this guy didn't have a superpower to start out with, and then he was mentored by the best. He got a superpower and then was able to learn and grow with it. As he learned and grow, he had so many stumbling blocks. He was breaking arms, he was breaking legs. Then he got comfortable and was able to do what he needed to do. After that point, where he felt like he had mastered it to a good degree, then he stacked another skill on top of that and then worked on that. And as he worked on that skill, then that one became the unconscious. And I think unconscious and subconscious can kind of be mixed here, because subconscious is that you're able to do what you need to do, but your brain is able to work it while doing something else. So while he was subconsciously being able to do those two things, then he added another skill on. And then in the anime was one of the best heroes that there was. Apply that to our life. Think about, what are you great at? And what's the skill that you are working on? Because there are many different ways you can go about this. the best way that I found that's worked for me is what's called habit stacking. So if you're working on a habit, you want to figure out a way to make it easier for you. One thing for me was brushing my teeth. I had the hardest time brushing my teeth, and I had to go out of my way to grab my toothbrush and toothpaste, be able to do it, then go back to bed. It was just so inconvenient. But I had this desire and belief that, well, brushing my teeth is something good, which I think we can all agree with, right? So as I thought more about it, I thought, what can I do to habit stack, which is placing the habit I want with a habit that's already there. And I thought, I use the bathroom before I go to bed. So why not go take my toothbrush, put toothpaste on it, shove it in my mouth, and then it just be in there, use the bathroom. Then afterwards, my toothbrush is already in there. So why not just brush my teeth? And that's what I did to get a daily, repetitive consistentness with brushing my teeth. Now, this can apply to anything, but I want you to think about it. Think about what is a habit that you are wanting to get. Is it with health? Is it with mentality? Is it communicating and being social? Is it spiritual, financial? What is it for you? Whatever that is, I want you to start thinking of ideas. Be a little creative. Don't shut anything down, because when we shut things down, our minds take that as, oh, we don't trust ourselves, and that creativeness goes down. But just continue to spew out things that are working, ideas that are coming, and come up with what is something you can do that can take that habit that you want and put it to a habit that you already have. Because I can tell you this, that as you go from being a novice, which is, not knowing what you don't know, just starting out, to being the master, being the one where people look at you, people who know you, they're like, that person is known for this. And the distance between is trying. So first thing is coming up with that plan to be able to coming up with that idea of what you can do to habit stack, making it easier for you, and then creating the filling in that distance to then get to where you need to go. And that distance is to try. From that unconscious incompetence, we're just like, we don't know what's going on. But just like me in Walmart, I couldn't just not do my job. I could quit, but who wants to be a quitter? Went from getting that fire hose of knowledge to then being able to put the salads out, put the veggies and the apples and the other fruit out, to then being like, I recognize these are the patterns that are going on. This is how I do it. This is how I unload the pallet. To then being able to lead the floor. So if other people from other departments come in, I'm able to lead them and help them. Right? So what is that for you? So there are many challenges that I said in there. So I challenge you, for one, to do that, of being able to think of an idea to take a habit that you want to mix it with a habit that you already have. And the other one I want you to do is I want you to create a daily reminder, a daily affirmation, if it be, to keep it in front of head awareness, I believe is what the phrase is, so that every single day you are seeing a goal or a habit that you want. One thing that I love that I do is on my lock screen. Coolest thing, I didn't know they could do that. You can put a video on your lock screen. So I went to Canva, put a nice ocean background in a sunset, and put my favorite quote about making decisions and never leaving unfinished thoughts in the mind. And every single time I unlock my phone, which is multiple times a day, I am reminded that I need to be definite in my decisions and to continue to move forward. So as I finish off this topic about novice to master, let me leave you with a quote. The novice is not the master. I know I'm going to screw this up. The novice is not the master because he hasn't. I know I'm going to mess it up. Whatever the quote is. Basically, the master has tried more than the novice has failed. So the master is always going out, and I hope I didn't switch those. The master is continually going out and trying and failing. The novice is just might fail once, fail twice, and they stop. But if they keep going, they get to the master level. So do something in your life that brings that frontal awareness to the front of your mind. Put it on your lock screen like I do. Put a post-it note up right next to your bed or on the fridge. I know I've done that. I love food, so I put it there. Do something to keep it in front of your mind. And then whatever that habit is, take it and put it to a habit that you already have. And as you do so, you start to get into that autopilot mode, that auto repetition, the consistent and the action that you need to move forward. So I appreciate just having the time to do this and go out and be the hero in your own life. And always remember that the master is the master because the master has tried more, because the master has failed more than the novice has tried. So go out, try, and do.